Hello everyone and welcome back to PhD and Productivity. Today I'm going to be sharing with you guys my A4 PhD research diary setup for March 2020. So just to start off, this is an A4 bullet journal from the Wildlife collection with the deer signet on the front. So starting out with my calendar layout for the month. My theme in my A5 bullet journal was growth, so I went for sort of a plants or like budding, new growing plants kind of theme. So I just added in a few touches, mainly just using green in this because I do keep this bullet journal fairly minimal, but just adding in a few pops of it here and there. So these boxes are 8 by 8 and I like doing this in the A4 because you do get a lot of space to plan, and as you can see I have a very busy month coming up. A lot of stuff going on for the PhD. So any of these spreads in this video you can use as a student or as a researcher, or basically anyone who sort of does that kind of academic role. But if you wanted to, you could definitely do these spreads using like Excel spreadsheets or something like that. I just like to have the flexibility of having everything written out by hand because I just think you can get a bit more creative with it. But yes, I do think it could still work with Excel spreadsheets or with Google Calendar for this, obviously. So just to explain a couple of the things that I have going on this month, because that will inform sort of my future spreads and some of my future videos as well. So basically, I have coming up for my academic writing class, I have to write a short version of my literature review for my thesis. So basically this month then I decided I will be planning out the literature review and as well, you know, getting the first couple thousand words done this month as part of the academic writing class. And then as well I also have a couple of applications due this month for different things. So one thing that I'm applying for is FameLab, which is a scientific communication competition just where you have to get up and talk for 3 minutes about a given topic. So I'll have a video coming out soon which will be my FameLab application. So if you guys want to see that, I suggest you subscribe and hit the bell so that you know when that's up, and I would really appreciate your guys' feedback on that because scientific communication is something that I really want to work on during the course of the PhD because I think it's very important. And then I do have sort of a long weekend away here as well. I think it's very important to take some time off during a PhD because it allows your brain to sort of rest and recharge, and I'm going to be doing a video on why it's so important to rest during a PhD. And then other things that I have coming up this month are I have a startup competition application due as well, so I have some planning for that as well, and I have a paper for a conference submission date coming up at the end of the month as well. So they're all things that I need to plan for this month, and I kind of did a couple different spreads for different things like that, but not necessarily everything because I might need to sort of evaluate how I want to plan for some things later on in the month. And then just some of the main things I want to get done. So the next week I need to do my research integrity training, and if you want to see a video about research integrity training, let me know and I can do sort of a summary of what I learned. And then I have my FameLab application due as well as my lit review due. Down here I have my startup application due, and down here I have the paper due. So moving on, this is my papers to read spread. So basically just a page where I can track the papers that I read this month or papers that I come across that I would like to read. So I've got the title, author, year, whichever project or whichever part of my literature review it would be relevant to, or if I'm doing any side projects, like I could mention them there, and where I found it. And then over here I have the reason for reading, or what was sort of interesting about it, what made me want to read it, or what I thought would be beneficial to me from it. So this spread I do think is very good. I do think I'll be reading a good bit this month, so I may have to do a second spread like this, but that's absolutely fine. And I did get a comment the last time that I shared this spread about titles. I don't usually put the whole title in here, just like a couple of keywords that helps me to understand which paper I'm referring to. So that is that. And then this is my literature review synthesis matrix. So this is something that I saw online. So up the top here is where I'd put my sort of main topics. so different aspects that I need to cover during the literature review in general. So I probably will have around 6 different sections, and they'll sort of become whole chapters for my PhD. And then in all of these are kind of the sub points, or like main papers that I would have to discuss under each main category, if that makes sense. So for example, since my PhD is in like recommender system techniques for sports science and health, I would probably have just a general topic here about previous applications of recommender systems to sports and health, and then these would be the more specific topics that are for my specific PhD. But I probably would have this sort of general one here, and then I'd have different like main papers under each heading. So that's something that I think is going to come in real handy. I may eventually transfer this over to like an Excel spreadsheet, but for the moment I just like to have everything written down on paper so that I can get organized to start things off. And then this is my lean startup spread. So this is from a book called The Lean Startup, and this is sort of your business plan to do out. Instead of a 5-year plan, a lot of businesses these days started to go with more of a lean business model. So this is how you sort of describe everything about the business that you need to know on a small amount of paper, and that way it will make things a lot easier when we come to our pitching day to know how to answer any questions and what kind of things to describe. So this is the problem. So this is where you say the different problems that you have and the kind of like you frame what your product would be doing in a sense, or what problem it aims to solve. And then under here there's existing alternatives. So if there is something at the moment that is meant to solve the problem but maybe isn't as efficient for some reason, that's where you can track that. And then this is the solution that you've come up with and the key metrics of how you will know how your business is doing. Then this is the unique value proposition, which is the clear, compelling message as to why you're different and why your product is different and worth giving a try or worth investing in. This is the high level concept. So it's like X for Y. So one of the examples, like YouTube is like Flickr but for videos. Over here is the unfair advantage, like why your product can't be easily bought or copied by other people, but why you have the unique ability to give it to the investors. The channels here is how you are going to get to customers and how customers are going to get to you. And then the customer segments is like your target users and target customers. And down here you have the early adopters, so the first people to take on your product. What do they look like? You know, what kind of people are they? And how they're going to come across your product. Down here we have the cost structure, and you are supposed to show your fixed and variable costs, and then your revenue streams as well, so your sources of income. So this is where once we sort out our idea for the startup, we're going to plan it out this way just so that we have a clear amount to be able to do for the pitching day. But just to mention, the book, The Lean Startup, is really good and I highly recommend it for anyone who's interested in entrepreneurship or just starting up a business in general. And then this is the last spread, which is my first weekly spread for the month. So basically this is my sort of time blocking for the week, and then I usually sort of break it up into deep and shallow work tasks. So if you don't know what deep work is, I have a whole video on it, so you can check that out. But I didn't break up this week specifically into deep and shallow tasks yet, because basically this week I have a lot of planning to do, and I don't think I'll necessarily be doing a ton of deep work except for some writing, and I think that will be more decided on the day whether I'm going to be doing that or not. So yes, I kept a lot of my sort of calendar bare this week, but I definitely will be getting filled up as I have a ton of things to do. So most of my to-do list is a lot of planning stuff, and then over here I'll be able to mark off which day of the week I did each task, and then when I'm coming on to a new day I can, you know, decide which ones I might need to do on that day. Over here is my pomodoro garden. So this is where I like to sort of do a doodle to continue on with doing a pomodoro. So if you don't know, a pomodoro is a 25 minutes of work followed by 5 minutes of break, and then you mark that you finished the 25 minutes, and you do this another 3 times, and then you can have a longer break. So I like to do a 4-step doodle, which is the stem of a tree, then the top part, and then like 2 more layers, and that's how it finishes. So if you want to see a finished one of those, you can see one of my weekly plan with me's, or you'll probably see it in my deep work video as well when I show the weekly spread. And then down here I just do a summary of all the things I got done that week, and in here is where I track all of my little wins so that I can stay nice and motivated for the course of the PhD. And that is it for this video, guys. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to give it a big thumbs up because it really helps me out, and let me know in the comments below if you liked this video, and just if you have anything else you think would be interesting to add into these spreads, because I really like the planning style that I've been doing at the moment, but I would be interested to hear from you guys as well. And again, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell so that you know when similar videos are up, and I will see you guys in the next video.